Welcome back to this week's episode of Unlocked. I am extremely excited about today. Also, I feel like God knew I needed today because I woke up this morning in tears. But today I have the guys from Newsboys here, and I'm so excited. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. So you are the bass player. Jeff.
Adam is the bass player.
Adam.
Yes.
See, guys,
okay.
This is why.
That's what we're here for.
And we've got Adam, who is the bass player. Thank you.
Yeah,
and then
keys.
Jeff is the keys. Okay.
But Jeff does play some bass on the keys, though. So
see?
You got it.
I kind of got it right.
Yeah,
half right.
Yep.
Okay, so give us, for the people listening, I know for me, Newsboys came about with God's Not Dead.
Yeah.
That's when it came to be for me. And after that, I was obsessed. Like, just that movie as a whole, it really causes people to, like, take a step back.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a gut punch at times because you're like, I've been a very judgmental person at times. I've questioned people, and that movie really causes you to just be like, whoa.
Yeah, that movie was very an unexpected success for us. And in fact, it's pretty funny how it all came about. We tour a ton.
Yeah.
So we were touring, hundreds of shows a year, and we actually had the song God's Not Dead that had already been out to radio and did well. But the movie was presented to us at the time as an opportunity to be a part of this thing. And so, we were so busy touring back then. We were like, okay, sounds great. But, up to that point, Christian movies had not really been in theaters or done well. You kind of were like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's never been a cool thing.
Yeah, so we got our scripts and kind of looked it over. And honestly, we thought we were just going to get out of the bus one morning and shoot a couple scenes on a camcorder. And like we would never see the end of it. That would be it. It would just kind of fizzle out. And so we got out of the bus the morning of a shoot, which was actually at a show. And Hollywood movie set. And we realized that we had not learned our lines like we should and panicked. And, a typical, thing, we did a day or two of shooting. And then it's like 3 or 4 months later before the film came out, we had kind of forgotten about it. We were on the road one day and got a phone call that it was like the top 2 movie in the country. People were lining up to see it all over the place. I heard from family members I had never met before after that.
Isn't that normally how it works? That's normally how it works.
And it really started a movement, and like people like yourself that
it reached like new generations.
It did. Yeah. It was an awesome experience for sure.
That's how I knew you guys. But you guys have had what? Over 16 albums?
It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to age ourselves here, but I started with the guys back in 1994. So over 30 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, I was not even a thought.
You were a thought in God's eyes.
That's about it. So you started back in 94 and then
I started a band in 99 called Stellar Cart.
And I was 2.
Cool. You are our target audience. We actually toured with Newsboys a couple times and did a bunch of shows together, and so we became friends. Yeah. 25 years ago, and then I've been in the band now a couple years, but we've been on the road together for the last 7 years. Yeah. So
that's amazing. Yeah. So as children, like, was this what you had mapped out for you? Like, or...
That's a great question. It was always a dream of mine. Like, I come from a family with musicians in it, and it's interesting because I always had that kind of dream of wanting to do music. My mom was a music minister in church, so I was forced into mandatory service.
Oh, yeah.
And we had a very lively Pentecostal church growing up, so the services were like 3 hours long. Oh. And there was so much music involved, and like pastors could call audibles, and you'd have to play anything. It was kind of like a black gospel church, for white people.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
So, I was kind of involved in music, learned the ropes that way of how to play or whatever. But I was actually a friend of mine promoted a Newsboys show when I was 18 years old. He was like a youth pastor, and he asked if I would help out with that. So I was the runner for the band for the day, like the guy who just does the errands and drives the band to the hotel and back. And that's how I met them. And so my friends behind the scenes apparently were telling the guys like, hey, this guy plays keyboards about, and I'm like, okay, whatever. So I get a call like 3 months later after that whole experience. And it was the lead singer of Newsboys saying, hey, we need a keyboard player. Would you be interested? So within
love
like
him.
10 days, I dropped out of college, moved to Nashville, and hopped on a tour bus. That's the short version of the story.
No way.
Yeah,
That
at 19
that's
years
got
old.
God written all over it at that point.
Went from never leaving Michigan to doing 280 cities in 1 year.
So did you ever find yourself, obviously at 19 years old,
Yeah.
it's very hard. Did you ever have that challenge when it came to religion or Christianity of like being a normal 19-year-old or wanting to be a normal 19-year-old?
Yeah.
Whether it's, I mean, let's face it, whether it's like going and sleeping around or drinking or
Right.
doing things that just happen.
Yeah, I think like a lot of kids, growing up in a Christian home, like you hear about, biblical principles, like godly living, all these things, your parents try to instill in you. I think when you turn 18 and like you said, you leave home is when the rubber hits the road. Like that's when you have to apply the things you've learned and see if they're real or not. So, I mean, for me, it was like, it was a great experience. Like I remember going to college, going from like a very conservative Christian high school to a public university for a couple of years. And I was like, wow, this is where I get to put things into practice. This is real life. And so it was good. It was good for me. And like, I mean, there's challenges with anything. Like as a kid, just traveling the world as a teenager was like insane. You were learning things on the fly, so
Yeah,
it was
very much so.
those first couple of years were insane. Honestly, I thought it was never going to last. I thought I'll do this for a year or two. This band is going nowhere and I'll just go back to college. And here we are 30 years later.
This band is going nowhere.
We were so unorganized back then. We still are.
What do you mean back then? Changed.
And what about you when you came into the band? How did that happen? Going from the band that you started and then into Newsboys.
Yeah, it just happened. I mean, we're just friends. I mean, I would say most of what we do on the road, it doesn't matter how good of a player or a singer you are. It's about chemistry on the road. And so if you can get along with people when you're living in a tour bus for half the year at least, that's one of the big things. And we'd known each other for so long, and we all kind of had the same like drive to do this, and had the same vision of trying to play music, and I think just in this recent season I was able to fill in maybe a couple of gaps that not that they needed anybody to add into the band, but
also times are evolving.
Could it
music
be,
is evolving.
Would it add anything? Yeah, maybe. And so I think it helps a little bit just to add in somebody like me who I play a bunch of different instruments, and so whatever the song needs, I can kind of jump in and help, and it takes a little bit of pressure off the rest of the guys.
Yeah.
And so with your music, are you guys writing it?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, Adam is probably more involved with the writing side of things than I am. I'm more involved with the production of the show and the behind the scenes technical stuff and music directing and band directing and stuff like that. But yeah, Adam, especially on this new record, has really taken a huge role with the writing side. And I mean, songwriting is such an interesting craft because, people don't realize that songwriting is mostly failure, It takes 1,000 songs written that don't go anywhere before the one is a success, So that's why musicians are so kind of weird personality-wise, because all they've done is like fail at these things until they get that one thing. But all that to say, Adam's kind of a good example of that. Like I've seen
a good example of failure.
A good example of failure. Great.
But,
we have Adam, a good example of failure, and then we've got Jeff the comedian.
That's about right.
But in a serious way, like I've watched Adam's career before he was even in the band, and what he's been through and the struggles and all that kind of stuff of really chipping away at it, and his faithfulness in it. And just like last year, he wrote a #1 song for Toby Mac. Just had that, and I think for him, he can talk about it more. But like seeing that drive and that vision pay off for him was like awesome for me to watch.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's been cool to be invited in to write for Newsboys, right? Like, I mean, it's a crazy thing. You can help write the Newsboys album, and so. I remember the first day we started writing for this new record, we did a writer's camp at our label, and The first day I wrote like 3 songs because I was actually in the room with great writers, and I was just like, this is amazing. And, I wouldn't have to do everything myself. And, it was, everybody's excited to write for, a band like Newsboys.
Yeah.
And so it was really fun. And it's been cool. Like Jeff said, getting to write a couple songs that, people finally get to hear. And,
is there a song on this album that is very personal to you?
Yeah, I would say the first song I wrote for this album is a song called "How Many Times," and it'll come out whenever the album releases on July 19th, I think. But it's basically a song about me joining the band.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it talks about how many times God has just proven that He loves me and that He's faithful, and that. You go through these things in your life, and you go through moments where you just can't understand why this would happen.
Yeah.
And it just makes no sense. And then through the journey, at least for me, God has given me just a little glimpse of, okay, that happened for this reason. Okay, that happened for this reason. I'm still here with you.
Yeah.
And just those little touch points along the way, it's just proven how many times that He's been there for me. And even when I, mess up or I, fail miserably, He's still right there. Or even when I turn away and I'm just like, I'm done with this, He still follows me down that path, and He's just right there as soon as I turn around.
Yeah.
And so,
well, I think that's a biggest misconception about Christianity, religion as a whole, is like it's supposed to fix everything. Right. People look at it as this tool to just save you, and like, oh, if I turn to God, He's going to fix it.
Right.
But in reality, it's all of the valleys that you're in that prepare you for that big moment.
Yeah. It's not a Band-Aid. It's not a fixer-upper kind of thing. It's just a journey. But what it is there's a peace and there's a hope that you don't have if you don't have that faith and if you don't have that experience. And I would not be where I am right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be married for 23 years. I wouldn't have kids and be in this position with this band if I didn't believe what I believe.
Yeah. And I definitely say after the pandemic, everyone wanted something to believe in. Like I look at what was something positive that came from it. I feel like after that, everyone was searching for something to believe in.
I feel like they still are too. I feel like the world's definitely a different place. I think that the pandemic time made you think about, at least for me, like, what's my identity? Am I Jeff the musician, or am I Jeff the father, or the person, or the follower of Christ? And I think a lot of us, we find our identity in things that are pretty fickle. And I think the pandemic exposed that to a lot of people, because they're like, oh, I lost my job, or I can't go visit my friends, or I lost a family member, or whatever it was. So I think that's one great thing about the music that we play, is that it can play a role in people's lives. Like I think
and
that's
they're healing.
I think that's why we've been able to do it for so long. Because I think if we were just at it for our own purposes, that kind of wears out over time. But I feel like all of us in the band feel like there's something greater going on, and we can be a part of that. Whatever God has for the world, hey, that's a great thing.
Yeah. And during the pandemic, because you guys at that point, no one was touring.
Oh man,
no, we had it the worst. Probably.
We were in Ohio, and we've been watching everything, all the news, and government shutdowns, and it's coming. We're in Ohio. We are set up for a show, ready to go in this theater, and we're waiting on the governor's announcement at 2 p.m. And sure enough, 2 p.m. we're all watching the TV, and he shuts it down. Everything's shut down, and so we just tear down our stuff, and we're like, well, we'll drive to our next show, which is in Pennsylvania. Surely they'll let us do a show. No, shut down. And so we just came home, and then we were home for
like a year,
like a little over a year.
I remember driving home from that last time we tried to play, sitting in the back of the bus, and I was thinking to myself, this might be the last time I ever do this. Who knows what's going to happen? Back then, everyone thought we were all going to die.
Yeah, literally.
So and I'm sitting in the back of the bus, bouncing down the road, looking at Jody, who I've played in a band with for 30 years, thinking, wow, this is crazy. The world's never seen anything like this. And we were the first people to shut down, and like the last people to kind of get our jobs back. So after after touring for 28 years, we were home every single day for a year, and that's why we had our fourth child. Probably.
You know, all the pandemic kids.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's, you look at it too, because I have so many friends who are in the music industry here, and I feel like there was zero support for artists when it came to, like you said, the whole identity crisis.
Yeah.
And because a lot of these artists, that's all they've ever known. Like, that's where you find your identity. That's where you find your validation and love and all these different things. And then when it stops, and too, financially, everyone took a hit.
Yeah.
Identity is a huge thing. I mean, and I've been trying to navigate that with my daughter. She's 17.
Okay.
And so identity in high school, and she had to go through the pandemic online school and just in middle school, like it's awful, right?
It's awful.
Like it's miserable. And so having to find her identity, not in her friends, not in how popular she is, not in how much she has or doesn't have. We live in a pretty nice place where there, you can see really nice cars driving around, and every kid in her school has a nice house and has stuff. And it's like, that's not where you find your identity. You find your identity in what God thinks about you, and he loves you more than anything.
Yeah.
And so I think refocusing into that really takes the pressure off of a lot of other things.
Yeah. Well, life has a way of humbling you, for sure. Like, that's what I say about the past 2 years of my life is, like, God has a way of humbling you, but it's not always a bad thing, because now it's finding purpose in the pain is what a lot of people struggle to do. But I feel like you have to seek it out. Like, you have to seek out the purpose.
Correct. Yeah.
And I know for me, like, if it wasn't for both my parents being in prison, I wouldn't care about what was happening. Like, let's face it, you don't, until you're slapped in the face with it, you just don't know any better.
Yeah.
And then you look at it and it's like, all right, God, why me? Why me? And I'll never forget, even as a kid, I was 15 years old. I had gone through so much trauma and all kinds of stuff. And I tried committing suicide. And I came home from the hospital that next morning, and there was a daily devotional and my dad's email, and it was from Joel Osteen, and it was Romans 8:28 that basically says, every hardship and adversity you go through, I'll turn around and use it to your advantage.
Yeah.
And it was like in the snap of a finger that I went from why me to why not me.
Yeah.
Like, what makes me better than anyone else to have to deal with this? And so let's figure out what the purpose is. And when you start looking at life that way, I feel like so many people are afraid to look at life that way, because you don't know what you would be without the things that had happened to you or the things that you had gone through.
Yeah. No, it's an amazing story. And I think that, that's, what we were talking about earlier. God doesn't promise you that everything's going to be perfect if you follow him. But we do know, not how the story ends, but we know where we're going. We know where that purpose is. And I think a lot of us are in denial of facing things like you have head on and asking those questions. And obviously your life will never be the same, but in a positive way. And what you're doing now is incredible. So that's fantastic. But there's hardships in life. I mean, we all go through them. We're all trying to raise kids. I have 4 daughters, trying to teach them.
4
like
girls.
You look at the world, it just seems like sometimes it's just this beast that just wants to swallow everyone up. And so when you look at the world through a spiritual perspective and you actually believe that there is good and evil, like, it's very helpful as a parent to raise your kids in that way, instead of just like denying, like we were talking about, that those things even exist. Yeah.
Close your eyes and picture the perfect vacation. Blue skies, chill vibes, cool cuisine, and the freedom to do your own thing. Hyatt Vivid Grand Island in Cancun is waiting for you. Experience Mexico's all-new, all-inclusive, adults-only resort and live your vacation goals. Try a hands-on macrame making class, make friends at our boho chic private beach club, or take in the 360-degree views from the longest rooftop pool in Cancun. Do as much or as little as you like. It's your vacation after all. If the vacay vibes are calling your name, check out HyattVividResorts.com. You'll find awesome grand opening rates and a free speedboat excursion for 2. Yep, there's a speedboat. Go to HyattVividResorts.com and book your stay today. That's HyattVividResorts.com. I think right now, obviously, with it being an election year, don't worry, I'm not going to ask you.
Here we go.
Don't worry.
Here we go.
But with it being an election year, you're seeing a lot come up to do with faith and faith-based organizations and all these different things. And you see a lot of people saying that Christianity is just a tool to hurt and judge. And whether it's within the, LGBTQ community and all these different things. And I, again, can't believe everything you read, but there was one of you guys had made a comment about it that said, we're not as divided as we like to believe. And that it's not, basically your viewpoint on people that think, okay, it's, your music or being a Christian band, you're judgmental or you're not accepting. How do you respond to claims like that?
I think, as Christians, we're commanded to love above everything else. That's that was God's, or the new commandment that was given. And I think, the best way I've heard it described is like, you're always going to have very extreme people on both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Who are the loudest.
Yep.
And as you get more towards the middle, you find that most of us are actually a lot alike and share a lot more things in common than what we know of. I think a lot of the problem is that we've stopped talking to each other. We've stopped looking at each other face to face everywhere you go.
We become keyboard warriors.
Yeah, like if you go back into the 90s, if you remember those years, like if you wanted to buy anything, you had to go to a store. Like you were forced to like interact with other people on a daily basis.
You don't have to do that anymore.
And even after COVID, it made it even worse. And so I think we've really we've hardened positions. I think there's nothing greater than like talking to somebody, even if it's someone you don't agree with, who's a reasonable person. You can find something. How's your family? How's your kids? Like just those small things in life that we've stopped doing.
Well, that's what I say is I've said
we've just become bitter.
Yeah. Everyone has become bitter to life circumstances. Yeah. And we also don't take time to get to know people, because if you took time to get to know people, granted, if people follow me on social media, clearly you know which side I lean. But I have friends who are on the complete opposite spectrum.
I do too.
And they're like my best friends. Yeah. But we sit and talk and it's like, hey, I understand why you believe what you believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like because of things that had happened to you or maybe just who you are as a person. Like I understand it and I love you.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is we don't take time to get to know people. And I even say now, just obviously with everything I'm doing in our prison system, and I've partnered with pray.com to bring their technology into state prisons. So we're in the process of doing that. And I say that like those men and women, people just forget about.
Yeah.
Like they're just a number. And we need more people to go into these places to invest and to show that like, hey, this may be part of your story, but it's not who you are.
Yeah.
And people forget like that's who Jesus was.
It's interesting. I learned a lot from my dad. Since you mentioned the prison thing, he had a prison ministry and had many people from his church that he would go visit every week and follow him around to all the different prisons they went to. He had one that was convicted of murder, and whole family had like disavowed this guy. And my dad went to visit him even after all his own relatives had died. He was like the last person my dad ever talked to before he died. And my dad just had a heart for this guy and just like never gave up on him. And I think that, did my dad have, anything in common? Did he agree with what this guy did? No, but he was trying to show this guy that, Christ died for him, like the least of these, like wanted him to be redeemed. And I think, getting back to what you said, I think that what we see now in our culture is like people, they can't differentiate between disagreement of an opinion, of a viewpoint, and hate. They feel like as soon as you disagree with their view, that they are being hated by you.
Yeah.
But that's not what the Bible taught. You know, the Bible teaches us to love firstly, and then you can have disagreements. It doesn't mean that you hate that person.
Yeah.
You know, it's even something you have to teach your children. You know, like they think, oh, Dad, you're mad at me. You don't like me because I did something you don't agree with. But no, of course, love is unconditional because God loves us unconditionally. So we're supposed to, you know, be like him. So
we see it at our shows. We see our audiences are not like Republican or Democrat. Like it's a mix.
Yeah.
Like there's people that, because there's a utopian side to each political view. Like you want the best of, this is what this party represents, this is what this party, and you want to believe that. And you know, obviously corruption happens and things get cloudy, but we really have a very diverse audience. And so sometimes, you know, you say some things from stage and you get half the crowd's like, and half the crowd's like, boo.
Depending on what part of the country
Like,
you're in.
fine.
Yeah.
But it is cool that we get to be a uniting place for people.
Yeah.
They
And
can
that's
come,
the thing is you can come as you are.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And you come to a show and you kind of forget about your differences for a little bit because you're all, you know, they're singing the same songs and doing the same thing.
That's awesome. So this next album that's coming out, what's it titled and what's the message?
It's called Worldwide Revival.
Right.
And the message is just, we feel that, you know, even what we're talking about today, like the earth is just kind of ready and prepped and people are just looking for something.
Yeah.
And I think that can be a revival. It can be a renewing and a rebirth of what might be already inside, as far as a faith that you have that might have been, you know, growing stale or something, or it could be just something fresh and new that people are looking for something. They've tried everything. And it's like, I'm looking for something that's permanent, that's real, that actually does make a difference in my life. And for anybody else out there that's just wanting to join with a movement, like that's what we're trying to do. We play hundreds of shows all the time, like 100 shows a year. And we're always out there on the road. And so we're just trying to create this movement of positive, you know, being positive and pointing people to the King and giving people hope everywhere we go. Yeah. And so that's what the Worldwide Revival album is all about. It's we started out with a song called Heaven on Earth. It was our first song that we launched from it, because it kind of sums up that duality of like, okay, we've got heaven and it seems far away, but we can experience that here on earth. And so the song's it even talks about the moment in the Bible where it says the Spirit came to earth, and we can begin our lives, you know, our eternal life here on earth before, you know, we move on to the next phase in life.
That's what I say. I say there's a story of when I went and visited my dad for the first time. And obviously you don't know what to expect. You're like, okay, you hear all these horror stories. Yeah. And I will never forget, sitting in that visitation room in a prison, I was like, I've never felt the presence of Jesus more.
That's incredible.
Like going in, not knowing how, anxiety filled, like just not knowing what to expect. And then you look and you're like, this is what it's about. Yeah. Like these people and people who felt forgotten about, like you see more tears, more laughter, more, all these things in these visitation rooms. Yeah. And it's just, it causes you, because I don't have a problem in saying, I always thought like, oh, you're in prison, then you belong there. Like you're a bad person, you're this. But when you actually start looking into it and educating yourself, you're like, okay, it's not all that I thought it was.
Yeah. No, it's not. And it's even Michael, our lead singer, his brother spent 28 years in prison and was released a couple years ago. So he's come out to quite a few shows. His name's Nate. And
I love that.
Yeah, and so we've been able to hang out with him, and just a deep person now after living what he's been through. Made a lot of horrible decisions and a lot of bad mistakes, but like you said earlier, there, if you go back, there are reasons for that, and now to see him out and like coming out on the bus and hanging out with us and telling us about what he's been through. Like I have, like you said, a lot of compassion for people. That's what Christ had for people too. He was always sniffing around with the least of these, and he would probably be, ridiculed by Christians now if he behaved like he did then here now on earth. No question about it. So it's always something good to keep in the back of your mind. Like, how would Jesus treat these people? He would love them. He would want to forgive them. He would want them to find grace and mercy and forgiveness. So,
and I think too, it's when it comes to Christianity, faith-based programming, anything of that nature. It was when I started working with pray.com, obviously they're all about the numbers too of it. And I met the founder and he sends me all these studies, and they did a study at an Ivy League school, and 66% of the people who participated in this study had an overall increase in their mental health.
Wow.
Like a decrease in anxiety, depression, and just better overall mental health. And you look at it and you're like, all right, it works.
Yeah.
Like it works.
Yeah.
If you put in the time and you actively seek it out, it works.
Yeah, it's super interesting when you talk about going into the visitation rooms or prison. We've done prison ministry stuff. We've played in there, and there's just a different feel to the place. And some other places where we've done some mission work. We build houses down in Tijuana in Mexico. Or we travel all over the world to some of these places, and some places where they don't have as much, or they don't have anything, and they're not as busy, or they don't have all this other stuff that
the distractions.
Exactly. Yeah. It's interesting that the veil between the spiritual world and our actual world is much thinner in those places, and so you can feel things that you don't really feel when you're just hanging out here in Nashville on a daily basis. You go to some of these places and it's life or death.
Because God's all they've got.
Yeah. But I think he also reveals himself in a different, more like physical, real way in those places, because that's what those people need in that moment. Yeah. More than, something like we have the access to be able to pursue our faith in whatever way we want to. We can do research. We can go to any church we want to go to. We can pray any way we want to. But some of these people, this might be the first and only time that they're hearing about this, and God's going to show up, and he's going to do it in a way that is so mind blowing that these people are completely changed, and they have no other way to think about God other than he did this miracle in this place. And we've seen some stuff that's unexplainable. We've experienced things that.
What would you say is the craziest just God moment that you've experienced? That you're still like, was that real? Was it, did I dream it?
And there's one that comes to mind that is pretty spectacular. I remember a few years back, we got invited. This was a crazy invitation to play in the country of Morocco. And it was actually the king of Morocco's, like, they were trying to organize a music festival there. It's all a little unclear, but it was
Fire Fest, whatever that was.
Yeah. So they were doing this music festival where they wanted to have like Muslim musicians play, and they wanted to bring in some Christian musicians to play. And it was kind of like a peace sort of thing to, a cultural whatever. So we got the invitation and we were like, you want to do this? And we thought about it for about 2 seconds. We're like, yeah, let's go. This will be unlike anything we've ever done before. Let's check it out. So, we meet their delegation and they have these dinners for us. And then, they have this festival, and some of the other artists there, didn't even speak English. We were like the guests from the Western country or whatever. And so we were playing our show literally in the desert of Marrakesh on a stage. And it was almost a completely Muslim crowd, super polite. They were like kind of taking it all in, watching this Christian band play. But there was like soldiers with machine guns lined up across the front of the stage, kind of monitoring the crowd or whatever. And we have this song called I Am Free. And it talks about just, freedom you find in Christ, like we were talking about. And as we played that song, like the soldiers started dancing and like have their AK-47s and we're like all get into it. And you could tell, like, I don't know exactly how to explain it, but like something spiritual happened there. You know, when you the Lord showed up with those people, they saw something they had not seen before, in almost like an Old Testament style way or whatever, and it was awesome. We've seen that, and we've seen it happen over and over again. But I think, and you see Christianity growing in countries, not America, but in countries like Latin America and in other places, it's growing way faster than anywhere else. India, all these places, because again, when you're in a place, where you're searching and you're crying out and you just don't have all life's modern conveniences. You depend on God,
pandemic,
and he shows up.
I feel like people there was an increase in Christianity during that time and even after, because people wanted something to believe in. And people who have a relationship with Christ know that, like, when I have nothing, I have that. And so, Adam, what would you say? A story, like something that sticks out to you?
Oh man. There's a lot, but I think one of the craziest things, and I'll go back to what we've done, Newsboys for the last, I guess, for 25 years, have been partnering with Baja Christian Ministries down in Mexico, building houses for people who are living under tarps and in tents and stuff. And multiple times we've taken teams down there, and half the trip is we go and we build a couple of little 16 by 20 houses for families. And we'd take, a couple years we took over 100 people down there, and we'd build 4 or 5 houses for people. But that's only half of it. And then the other half is we would go and we would just knock on doors and speak terrible Spanish to these people and just invite them out to a little gathering. And so we'd set up this little tent in the middle of their little community, and we'd just invite everybody out, and we'd give them, give the kids like watermelon and give the adults a Bible and a little devotional book in Spanish. And we'd pray for them, and we'd talk to them, and we would see, like, you would see people, like, one time there was a guy who was demon possessed, and he was just kind of like, he was crouched over and like contorted and just screaming and whatever. And he was on the outskirts of our meeting. And when we started talking about Jesus and we started saying the name of Jesus, he was screamed and ran and like fell down like 20 yards away. And some guys went over and they prayed for him, and he got up and he was just fine and clear and totally like normal. And it was weird. And I'm like, I don't like to over spiritualize stuff. And I'm just like watching this and I'm going, it's just, I couldn't explain it. And it was just bizarre. And everybody's like, his family's crying because they're like, he has been messed up for so long and he's back. And it was just this, nothing that we did or anything, but we just showed up, and
God puts people in the right place.
It was just a miracle. And it's wild. That
is insane. I can only imagine the stories you guys hear, or the things that you see, or
Actually, I had one more that was crazy. One time we were in Uganda, Africa, and we were on a missions trip there and doing some filming and stuff. And we went to visit an orphanage, like in a little tiny village, little tiny room, like the size of the studio. And so we had our acoustic guitars with us, and there was like 20 orphans in the room. And so they're like, "Oh, can you play some music?" So we're playing He Reigns, which was, a popular song that a lot of people know. And so there were some other missionaries that lived at the other end of the village that heard that somebody was there playing music, and they came down to see what it was all about. And so they come in the door while we're playing, and the two missionaries, a young couple, they just start crying. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And so after it, they're like, yeah, we when we were like teenagers, we were listening to that song and we felt like God called us into ministry. And here we are like 10 years later, and you guys just happen to be in the village that we're in Uganda.
Holy cow.
And they're like, this is just like, one of those things that's just too crazy to be a coincidence. And
Holy cow.
Stuff like that happens all the time. Like, and even kids, like families who sponsor children at our shows will like, they'll look at the sponsorship packet of the kid that they're sponsoring, and like their birthdays will be the same. Or
that we just hand out. We hand out
randomly.
Like it's a random, like
random.
I'll sponsor a child. Hand them a random packet, and it's like, well, this is the date of
our anniversary.
Or it's like our son passed away a year ago, and this is his birthday. It's just like
it's crazy.
And that's the thing. It's like for people that say like, I don't believe in that, God's not real. I'm like, explain it.
I think it's harder to not believe.
It's hard. That's what I say. And I say, I'm like, you know what? Guess what? If I'm wrong and there is no heaven and if I'm wrong, then what do I lose? I lose. I lose nothing.
Right.
But if I'm right, what do you lose?
Yeah. It's much harder to disprove a creator. Like just take a simple, like a book, like how'd all the words get in there together, how'd the letters get in there. Somebody created it. It didn't just happen like out of nothing. So it's just harder to disprove it.
What would you say to people listening that are maybe struggling to believe, or maybe, they can't quite get themselves to that point to do the research or to come to a show or to go to a church?
Yeah. I think there's probably quite a few different answers to that. I think that for a lot of people, they've had bad experiences with Christians. And I think sometimes as Christians, we can be the worst face of Christianity to people who don't believe. And so I would never proudly say that like we have it all together and we're perfect. Like we talked about before, we're all works in progress. But if I was searching, I would probably, I think a lot of what you see about Christianity on the outskirts of the people that have the biggest voices, probably, you have to be discerning. There's good voices, there's bad voices. Yeah. There's people that are in things for the wrong reasons. There are leaders that make mistakes. So people are always going to let you down. Yeah. If you're following a person because of what they say, there's a good chance at some point that person's going to make a mistake and could cause you to lose your way. So, to me, it's finding those mentors, whether it's books, authors, do you have to go back, maybe going back to the classics like C.S. Lewis or some of these writers. Some people need that sort of apologetic writing, like they want to see more proof. Other people need to feel it. Other people kind of know something's there, but they just need help. But I think that as somebody who's, if you're searching, don't be afraid to dig deeper behind the surface, because people, especially Christians, we will let you down. Yeah. And so it's good to be aware of that, when you're getting into it. And if you feel like, you're not in a place where you feel like you're loved by other Christians, then you probably need to go somewhere else. Yeah.
I think if you really want to know about something, then I think you just have to it's like anything, you have to put in time.
Yeah.
Like if you want to get fit, you got to go to the gym, and you can't just go once. You got to go a bunch of times. I mean, you've only gone once and you look great. Yeah. But no, it's like anything worth doing. It takes time and it takes commitment. And so you don't have to do anything fancy. I don't think. I think it's just a matter of spending the time in. It could be meditation, prayer, whatever you need to do in order to earnestly seek after answers.
Yeah.
And I fully believe that even if you're just sitting in your bedroom and you're like, you know what, I'm going to take the next 10 minutes and I'm just going to be quiet. I'm just going to listen, and I'm just going to just be like, God, just prompt me, say something.
Yeah.
And I think he'll show up, and he will. Sometimes it takes, one time, or sometimes it takes a long time and multiple goes at it. It just depends on the situation, but I think individually, if you earnestly try and pray and try and seek what God, just ask him to talk to you, ask him to say something to you.
Yeah.
I think he will.
And I think too, for people that are listening, it's so hard when you, like you said, sometimes Christians can really do you in.
Oh, yeah.
Like, can really do you in.
Yeah.
Even right now, there's a few women that I'm speaking to that were part of this huge, in Dublin, California, there was a prison out there, and the guards, warden, and chaplain sexually abused them. And you look at that, and a chaplain did that. So now these women are also, they don't want to touch God.
Yeah.
They don't want to touch him.
Yeah.
And I get that.
Yep.
And it's so hard to try to, I totally get it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it's a reminder that, like, God didn't do that to you. Like this person did, and that is not a depiction of God.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then that's what's so hard to try to help people through but I do believe that it's like God gave us all a platform for a reason. And hopefully if someone's listening to this, they can take something from it and realize that when you've got nothing else, you've got him.
Yep. 100%.
Well, I thank you guys so much for coming on. The
pleasure.
album comes out July 19th.
Yeah.
July 19th. What's your touring like right now?
We're getting ready to go on a big West Coast run, which will be fun. We got a bunch of shows coming up here in the next couple months, and shooting a music video, and we got all kinds of fun stuff coming up.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah, we're always on the road, so you can check our schedule.
Yeah.
That's what I was about to say. Where can people find you guys?
Newsboys.com's got everything you could ever hope for.
Yeah.
And what else? What else we got?
Oh, one other thing is, you said you were a fan of God's Not Dead.
I love that movie. And I think that's a good place for people to start, honestly.
Absolutely.
If you are questioning.
Yeah.
If you maybe are like, this isn't real, I don't believe it, I need answers.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I've met people who have seen that movie, and just like that,
That's awesome.
they're like, y'all saw, people were walking out of theaters in tears.
Yeah.
Because it causes you to think.
And if you want more God's Not Dead, it's kind of like the Fast and Furious franchise. There are several of them.
Yeah.
And we actually just filmed another one, and so it's called God's Not Dead, In God We Trust.
So is that like
It comes out in September.
number?
I'm not
I
sure
wanna
what
say-
number it is.
I want to say 5.
45 or no, wait, 4 or 5.
I want to say 5. I don't really know, but I
Okay.
think it's 5. And so we got a couple of songs in that movie. We actually make an appearance in that movie.
Some incredible acting.
You can see
we did
Jeff's
in that.
acting skills.
Oh, I
incredible.
cannot wait.
Oh, yeah.
Brilliant.
So that comes out in September.
I think
Yes.
it comes out in September. Yeah.
And what can you tell us about that movie?
Oh.
The storyline of it.
Well, it's funny. They actually sent me the script last year, and they're like, "Hey, you want to try to write a song or something for the movie?" And so I was like, "Yeah." And a buddy of ours flew in from LA to write with us, and we were trying to figure out what to write. And he was like, "Oh, I got this idea. It's called In God We Trust." And I showed him my phone, and I had the same exact In God We Trust, like this is what, after reading the script, I feel like we should do this.
Yeah.
And then turns out they actually called the movie In God We Trust, which is crazy. And so it's basically about this pastor who reluctantly runs for
Congress.
office,
Yeah.
Congress. And Jeff's actually seen the movie. I haven't seen it yet. But it's
about his journey through all the navigating through all the process, and like reluctantly, deciding whether or not he wants to do it, feeling a call on his life, and having to debate his enemy, the senator at the end. So yeah, it's cool.
standing up for what he believes in the political realm.
Yeah.
See, the people who started God's Not Dead, they knew what they were doing, come out with this movie during an election year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I was like,
No, there's no doubt.
they knew what they were doing, without a doubt.
It's not an accident.
No, not an accident.
Yeah.
But I also love that it brings it back to, in such a crazy year, and politically, to where everyone is so far left, so far right, and at each other's throats.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that way.
Right.
And I feel like probably that's going to be the message of this movie.
It is.
Well, and it's the message of a song. Like we were very intentional with the lyrics of the song "In God We Trust." It's not a Christian nationalist song. It's not. It doesn't have any political anything. It's just wholly focused on this is God. We put all of our faith and all of our trust in you to handle whatever.
Yeah.
And whatever sides of the spectrum you're on, it's all about, we put all of our faith in God.
That's amazing. So the album comes out July 19th.
Yeah, the movie is mid-September, I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, all right. You guys can find them at newsboys.com. Maybe I'll see you at a show.
Yeah.
I'm going to go look
Savannah's
and see.
going to come to a show, so
Come on, Savannah.
Come on.
Come on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Welcome back to this week's episode of Unlocked. What a crazy day it has been. I've already filmed one podcast, and that was with former Clayton County Sheriff Victor Hill. And his story is just absolutely insane, and I cannot wait until you guys hear that next week. We wanted to give it some time, let the election pass, and then do Victor Hill's episode next week. That episode is going to ruffle a lot of feathers because we have the same federal judge on our cases. So the only point in doing that podcast is really to bring awareness to something that a lot of people don't bring awareness to, and that is really just how corrupt our judicial system can be and how people will prosecute their enemies while helping their friends. And it's a really sad situation. So I can't wait for you to hear all the ins and outs of that episode. But with that being said, today is, what is today? Today is October 31st. It is Halloween. Halloween, y'all. God bless it. I am not a fan of Halloween, and I would love to know how many people agree with me. I personally think it's the devil's holiday. It just does not make me feel good. I mean, with Christmas, I feel so good. Like, it's happy vibes and colorful, and Halloween is just, not my thing. But I'm actually, all right, this is going to cause some controversy. This is a controversial topic. When do you decorate for Christmas? Corey, when do you decorate for Christmas? As soon as Halloween's over. Okay, good. I decorate for Christmas. I'm having someone come and decorate for me November 9th. That I will have all my Christmas stuff up that day. And I am so excited. It makes me feel so good. It's going to be the best. And well, I'm going to tell y'all a secret too, because Chloe's birthday is coming up on November 10th. So that is next weekend. And she has been begging me to go to New York. She's like, I want to go to New York. I've never been. And as I've stated before, birthdays and holidays are just freaking hard. We obviously want mom and dad home. And this is another year of just missed birthdays and holidays. So I want to do everything in my power to make it special for her. So we're surprising Chloe with a trip to New York. And I'm so excited. It's going to be a blast. But also pray for me, please. Pray for me. I'm not telling Chloe until the morning we leave where we're going. I'm going to pack her bags and we're going to go to the airport, and she will see when we get there where we're going. Obviously, I think she has an idea it's going to be New York when we get to the airport, but it's okay. And not only is it me and Chloe going for her birthday, but it is me, Chloe, Grayson, Robert, his 3 boys, and then my friends Pamela and Michaela. So there's going to be 10 of us, but we're going to have 2 12-year-olds, an 11-year-old, a 5-year-old, and then the rest of the individuals. So 5 kids in New York. God help us. But we are so excited because none of the kids have gone to New York. So it's going to be a really fun thing. And the Music City Christmas special starts that weekend. So we're going to do that. And I am so excited. But then after that, we have Thanksgiving. And y'all, Lord help us, I have volunteered to cook Wednesday night for everyone. And then Robert's family does this huge thing on Thanksgiving Day to where everyone brings food. It's awesome. But for me and my family, I'm not used to a lot of people at Thanksgiving. Like, we just kept it very small. It was just our immediate family. And Robert's family, it is literally everyone, like all cousins, kids. I'm so excited, honestly, because I just love that big family and everyone's laughing, getting along, cutting up. Kids are running around, but also there's going to be 50 people, 50. And I have said that I will cook Wednesday night for everyone. So if you have any advice on how to cook for 50 people, I would greatly appreciate it. Direct message me on Instagram, give me all the insights. I was thinking of doing pasta that night. And so we would have like a huge salad, bread, and then I was going to do a spicy vodka pasta, a cream sauce pasta with chicken, a spaghetti and meatballs, and a lasagna. So 4 different pastas. I feel like that's a good idea. And I can like cook it all and not be like slaving in the kitchen for all day while everyone else is enjoying their time. So please help me. Any advice, direct message me, comment, give me any advice possible to cook for 50 people. I will greatly appreciate it. But another reminder is when this episode airs, it's election day. Comes around the same time every 4 years. And what a historic moment in time. I have been so blessed to be able to do the things that I've been doing. I've been going around the country speaking to women and small businesses and hearing people's stories and just what they want to see out of the next 4 years. And regardless of who you're voting for or who you like, please go and vote. It doesn't matter if you're voting left or right. Just go vote. It is your duty as a citizen of the United States of America to vote. And so you don't get the right to complain about where our country's at or where it's going if you don't vote in the election. So go out, make your voices heard. Lord knows I've made my voice heard. And you all, if you follow me on social media, you can see kind of how I feel, why I feel the way that I feel, and why I'm supporting the candidate that I'm supporting. So I really hope and pray we can walk away from election day happy, fulfilled, not fighting each other, not losing friendships, because let me tell you, there is no political candidate in the world that's worth losing friends over. So just remember that. Love each other despite differences, and have respectful conversations. But go out and vote. Please vote. Every vote matters. The last election, I think, was lost by like very minimal votes. So go out and vote. It matters. And then we also, coming up, I am so excited. Hold on. I'm going to show you a video. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Happy November, guys. This is the month to be thankful. Be thankful for your friends, your therapy, the life that you've been given. And, well, for me, I am overwhelmed with a sense of gratitude because I'm thankful for therapy. This is a really tough season for me. For people who are struggling with the holiday seasons coming up, I want you to know I see you and I feel you. My parents aren't here for Thanksgiving or Christmas, and that really weighs on my heart extremely heavy. And with that, I need therapy, and therapy is probably the greatest tool known to man, and I have truly benefited by using BetterHelp. BetterHelp is absolutely amazing, all online and designed to fit your specific needs. All you have to do is go online, take a test, and they will match you with a therapist. And if the therapist doesn't work for you, that's okay, because this isn't a one-size-fits-all type deal. Sometimes you have to try a few till you meet the one that is perfect for you. And BetterHelp makes that so easy. You can switch therapist at any time for no additional cost. So please remember this holiday season, I see you, I feel you, and it's okay to not be okay. And therapy's cool, especially in 2024. So visit betterhelp.com. That's betterhelp.com. And you know what? I'm pulling this out so I get it right, because I have a little deal for you. So let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. You can visit betterhelp.com/Savannah today to get 10% off your first month. See, guys, I pulled it out for a reason. You get 10% off. So visit BetterHelp, that's HELP.com/Savannah for 10% off your first month. Life is a journey, one step at a time. From running errands to taking care of the family, your feet deserve to feel as good as your spirit. That's where G-Defy shoes come in. With G-Defy's patented VersoShock technology, G-Defy absorbs harmful bumps and impact, just like a gentle cushion for your soul. Plus, all G-Defy shoes come with 2 free orthotics. Comfort and support should feel like a blessing. Guys, that last line, comfort and support should feel like a blessing. You have no idea how much I believe that right now. I have been nonstop on the go in tons of airports. I think I've taken like 16 flights the past month. And let me tell you, G-Defy has saved the day. I will leave an event with my heels on and immediately throw these G-Defy shoes on, and it feels like I am walking on clouds. Whether I'm going through the airport, walking to an event, or just doing my everyday mom duties, and I feel like I'm standing up 10 to 12 hours a day. Well, if you got to stand up 10 to 12 hours a day, let's feel like we're standing on clouds. So visit gdefy.com and use the code UNLOCKED for $20 off your first pair, because walking in comfort is a grace that we all need. That's gdefy.com and use code UNLOCKED for $20 off your first pair. I had the blessing of going out to Nevada, and it was such a great experience. I want to find the video. Hold on. So, hey guys, I'm Savannah Chrisley, and I am honored to be here today with Hope for Prisoners. This graduation was, honestly, I was crying half the time, but just sitting here and watching these men and women and seeing how far they've come, and they're a true testament that you do not have to be your past, your circumstances, your mistakes, that there is room for you to move forward, and you can lay it all down and start fresh. And this just instilled in me that there's so much more that I want to do, and so much more that needs to be done within our criminal justice system, so that these men and women can continue to come out of prison and be contributing members to society. So I am so excited to get to work along Hope for Prisoners and be in DC, get things done, and make a better life for these men and women who are coming home to their families. So that was awesome. And then I actually got to go to the prison, and I got to do a podcast from there that will be airing in the next few weeks. And the women were there in the prison, and I got to hear their stories. I got to talk with John, who is the founder of Hope for Prisoners, and hear his story. I mean, these women, I literally was in tears, guys. I cannot express to you how life-changing this experience was. And I'll send you guys the photos and videos so you can like maybe put it in.
Hey Savannah, I'm over here at the
and then this was sent to me after I left. I think later on that, I think this was the next week, but.
Hey Savannah, I'm over here at the Gene Conservation Camp, and you really blessed these ladies, and they had something they want to say to you.
I'm telling you, it makes me so emotional. Let's see. Is this the one? Testament that you do not have to be. So just the whole experience, guys, was absolutely insane. And I cannot wait for you to hear that podcast. One of the women actually comes on and speaks about her experience and what led her to prison and how she's dealing with it. But that day, I will say, was... I went and had lunch with John. John is awesome. He picked me up from my hotel, and before we were going to the women's prison, we went and had lunch, and we were sitting there, and all I could think of was, holy cow, I'm sitting here having lunch, stuffing my face, going in to meet these women with a full stomach, happy, whatever it may be. And I could not get that thought out of my mind of, wow, I'm sitting here eating while I know a lot of these women go to bed hungry at night. Like, it was just an overwhelming feeling that came over me. And I proceeded to ask John, hey, John, do you think it would be possible to like bring in some food for these women? And he said, I've brought in a few things before. Let me get in touch with the prison, the warden, whomever it may be, and see if they will allow it. And so he called and said, hey, Savannah would really like to bring in food for these women. Not sure what it's going to be yet. Maybe pizza, something. And they said yes. And I was shocked. I was dumbfounded because this would not happen at my dad's facility and this would not happen at my mom's facility. This was a state facility, so totally different than the feds. This would not happen at a federal facility. The state obviously controls what they want to control. And I went to Raising Cane's because then I started thinking, oh gosh, okay, I don't want to bring pizza because all that is carbs. Like, I want to bring something of substance. What can I bring? There was a Raising Cane's a mile down the road. So I was like, all right, let's take Raising Cane's. At least it's protein. Like, they haven't consumed real good chicken in God only knows how long. So I went to Raising Cane's. I got 400 chicken fingers and like 100 pieces of bread, multiple things of like buckets of French fries, sauces, teas, lemonades, you name it, I brought it. And there were 65 women there and they ate every bit of it. Like every bit of it. And they were so blessed and thankful that I brought the food. But when I was sitting there talking to them, I was like, guys, this may be just food to you. And you may be so grateful because you're actually getting to eat and not go to bed hungry tonight. But to me, all I could think of was my parents and my parents going to bed hungry. And my dad telling me, I actually went to bed hungry tonight. Like, that is heartbreaking. First off, when you hear anyone say it, let alone your parents, for them to say, I went to bed hungry. In the United States of America, which is supposed to be the greatest nation on earth, we should never have someone go to bed hungry, and especially someone that we're forcing to be housed in one of our federal facilities. And to see how happy they were to be fed, I was so emotional. And then to hear their stories and to hug them. And a lot of them don't get visitors. And a lot of them don't get hugs from outside sources. And to just be able to sit there and love on them and show them that there is light on the other side meant more to me than it ever could have meant to them, honestly. And it was just such a life-changing experience and made me realize that there's still so much more I want to do, so much change that needs to occur. And I'm going to keep fighting. Like, I will never stop fighting, even when my parents come home. This episode of Unlocked is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Most of you listening right now are probably multitasking. Yep, while you're listening to me talk, you're probably also driving, cleaning, exercising, or maybe even grocery shopping. But if you're not in some kind of moving vehicle, there's something else you can be doing right now. Getting an auto quote from Progressive Insurance. It's easy, and you could save money by doing it right from your phone. Drivers who saved by switching to Progressive save nearly $750 on average, and auto customers qualify for an average of 7 discounts. Discounts for having multiple vehicles on your policy, being a homeowner, and more. So just like your favorite podcast, Progressive will be with you 24/7, 365 days a year, so you're protected no matter what. So Multitask right now. Quote your car insurance at progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, national average 12-month savings of $744 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June of 2022 and May of 2023. Potential savings will vary. Discounts not available in all states and situations. I have had quite the hair journey over the years, between long hair down to my waist, a pixie cut, a bob, you name it, I have done it. And well, after that, I wanted to grow my hair out, and that's where Nutrafol came into play. If you don't know, Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, and it is trusted by over 1 million people. You can see thicker, stronger, faster growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. Let's face it, everyone's root causes of hair thinning are different, so a one-size-fits-all approach to hair growth doesn't cut it. Nutrafol has multiple formulas that are tailored to give your hair what it needs to grow throughout different stages of life, such as postpartum and menopause, as well as for different lifestyles such as plant-based diets. Guys, Nutrafol is amazing for you mamas that are going through postpartum, or for women who just want thicker, stronger hair, or for men in your life. Let me tell you, I have got my boyfriend on Nutrafol, and I can see such a difference. Guys, don't be shy. It is physician formulated with 100% drug-free ingredients. Nutrafol supplements support healthy hair growth from within by targeting root causes of thinning, including stress, hormones, aging, nutrition, lifestyle, and metabolism as they evolve throughout life. Get results you can run your fingers through. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code UNLOCKED. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code UNLOCKED. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code UNLOCKED. Because I know a lot of people have asked, all right, updates on mom and dad. This is actually something I didn't touch on before when I spoke about mom's resentencing hearing, because the judge had yet to file her J&C or whatever it is. And when it was filed, it was actually made known to me that the judge added 2 years onto my mom's probation. So instead of taking away time, which the appellate court ruled she must be resentenced because they could not use the evidence, they could not find the evidence used to convict her on $17 million worth of fraud, the judge actually added 2 years on to her probation. So that's 2 more years in custody, basically. And that was just astonishing to me. I mean, how she could do such, I don't know. But obviously we are appealing that conviction or that sentence as we speak. And November 20th, we will have that appellate brief filed, and I will either read it to you guys or I will have my lawyer come on and discuss that as well, and discuss his experience in that courtroom that day, because he was dumbfounded as well. But mom is back in Lexington, so I am so grateful for that. What she had to endure, no human should ever have to endure. So it breaks my heart to know that my mom was the one to endure that. And when it comes to dad, the retaliation is still in full effect. Full effect. And I am now in the process of sending a letter that I have drafted to James Comer, Jim Jordan, the House Judiciary Committee, Director Colette Peters with the BOP. I mean, I am sending this out in droves. And I will read it to you. Urgent request for oversight and intervention on abuse at FPC Pensacola RDAP program. And let me preface this by saying the majority of this letter is to help other men that are not my father, because my dad is not in the RDAP program. But the head of the RDAP program is who is retaliating against him because of how outspoken I have been. But anyways, Dear Director Peters, Chairman Comer, Chairman Jordan, and members of the House Judiciary Committee, I'm writing to bring to your attention significant documented abuses within the residential drug and alcohol program at the federal prison camp Pensacola. The RDAP, as you know, is a congressionally funded program designed to support federal prisoners struggling with substance abuse by equipping them with effective coping skills. Yet, under the administration of Mandy Ramsey, Dennis Proffitt, and DTS Richardson, this program has been weaponized to inflict severe mental, emotional, and physical abuse on those in custody. Instead of rehabilitation, these individuals have fostered a hostile environment where inmates are subjected to harassment, intimidation, and retaliation. Inmates are coerced into actions such as searching each other's lockers, and HIPAA violations are rampant as correctional staff regularly access and review inmates' private medical files and prescriptions. This invasion of privacy not only breaches federal law, but gravely undermines the security of medical confidentiality. Ramsey, Proffitt, and Richardson have resorted to degrading verbal abuse, telling inmates that their families hate them and that they're an embarrassment. It has been made explicitly clear to these men that any attempt to speak out, including adding my name, Savannah Chrisley, to their contact list, would result in punitive actions or prolonged custody. These actions are retaliatory, discriminatory, and a gross misuse of authority, undermining RDAP's mission. Moreover, these individuals have been recorded while verbally abusing inmates and several staff members, including DTS Black, DTS Delgado, Chaplain Dixon, Consuela Gamble, Sarah Kennedy, Counselor Rothwell, and 2 lieutenants who request anonymity are prepared to testify about their pervasive abuse and intimidation. These witnesses confirm the abuses have been reported yet remain unaddressed by officials, reflecting a culture of cover-up rather than accountability. I have repeatedly informed OIA investigators Christensen and Hawkins, providing specific names of individuals to interview, such as Wilmerth, Weaver, CO Medina, Lieutenant Eamon, CO Sullivan, and Case Manager Genolat. Yet, OIA's selective investigations avoid those with pertinent information, undermining transparency and enabling the abuse to continue. My own father, Todd Chrisley, has been targeted for speaking out. Counselor Rothwell personally witnessed Case Manager Genolat intercepting, opening, and destroying my father's legal mail, an egregious violation of his rights under 18 U.S.C. 1702. Further retaliatory measures include my father's removal from his position in the chapel by Ramsey, who has been seen shredding documents in anticipation of potential inquiries. The abuses extend far beyond my father, revealing widespread systemic issues. Since his arrival at FPC Pensacola, Todd Chrisley and others have documented numerous severe violations, including alleged sexual abuse by CO Sullivan against inmates, including Jason Galanis, that has gone unaddressed. Exposure of black mold, asbestos, and lead-based paint, compromising health and safety, theft from inmate commissary funds, allegedly by CO Medina, racial discrimination in the education department and unit team, and physical assault. Video evidence exists of Officer Josh Ogie attacking an inmate with a metal rod, resulting in emergency surgery. Misappropriation of government resources in the form of alleged tool theft and resale by CO Eaton, allegedly. These men, regardless of their offenses, deserve to serve their sentences with dignity and without abuse. They are sons, fathers, and friends, human beings who, under our justice system, should be given the opportunity for rehabilitation, not subjected to cruelty. This abuse does nothing but fuel the cycle of incarceration, failing society's mandate to rehabilitate. It is imperative that Congress takes immediate action. The Bureau of Prisons, under Director Director Peters has repeatedly shown a lack of initiative in addressing these grave issues, prioritizing cover-ups over reforms. I urge you to prioritize an independent investigation into FPC Pensacola and specifically its RDAP program to expose and put an end to the systemic abuse and corruption. The lives affected within these walls deserve the same respect, justice, and compassion that any human deserves. It is time to restore integrity and humanity within our federal prisons. Thank you for your attention and for taking decisive action. Sincerely, Savannah Chrisley. So I wrote that letter on my flight out to Arizona and Nevada the other day. And anything I've said, I have the documentation to back up. And all I want to do is create an environment for rehabilitation, because whether we like it or not, these men and women are entering back into our society. They're going to be our neighbors. So let's help them to help us. You want a very well-rounded, rehabilitated person living next door to you. So let's help in that matter. And I'll let you guys know when I send this letter off to Congress, because, it's going to happen anytime now. So I'm going to send that off, and I'm going to continue fighting for the men and women that are not my parents to bring them home, and for justice to be served, and just for people to get the bare minimum, basic necessities, food, proper medical treatment, and rehabilitation. So that's what I'm fighting to do. And that's where we're at. So I'm trying to think if there's any other updates. Like I said, the appellate brief will be filed November 20th. I will give you guys an update as soon as I have one on that brief, letting you know what it says, what we're going to be arguing, because we do believe that there were retaliatory actions taken because we exercised our right to a successful appeal in part, and due to the judge using ex parte information to sentence my mother when really it had nothing to do with her. So that's where we're at. Thanksgiving, please give me any insights on how to cook for 50 people. I will greatly appreciate it. This is what I need my mom. And remember, voting in the election is such a privilege. It is a privilege that we all should not take lightly. So whether you're voting blue or red, just go out and vote. Exercise your right to vote, because you don't have the right to complain about the state that our country is in if you're not voting. So go out and vote. I love you guys. God bless. And next week you will hear all about Victor Hill's story and just the rise and fall of the sheriff of Clayton County.